Just over a year ago, me and my sister both competed at the annual Beat the Heat competition in Sport Rock, Alexandria. This comp had over 500 competitors, and me and my sister both ended up making finals, where we would later compete and both take the win. This year, I'm going back to the same competition to get the back-to-back win. Unfortunately, Audrey is not able to compete this year due to the fact that she got her tonsils removed.
She don't wanna strip no more, don't wanna hit that pole. Get my old plug, I get it in and go. Shot it up.
For the qualifier round, we had 3 hours to get our top 5 climbs. The climbs, however, were extremely difficult relative to the prior years, and I was getting absolutely cooked for the first hour of climbing. The start of the black boulder was relatively not too hard compared to the end of the boulder. It had a few dynamic moves on these crimps at the bottom, but it was not too bad. However, the top move was extremely burly, and you just really had to give 100% effort on attempting this move, and it was just pretty scary.
On a pillow, got chicken wrapped in Nero. So gonna she can She don't wanna strip no more, don't wanna hit that pole. I get it and go. She don't wanna strip no more, don't wanna hit that pole.
I was able to get the center of this boulder pretty quickly, which was a huge boost to my score, but for the next hour or so, I would just be falling non-stop. I don't think I sent a single climb.
I scrape the balls, scrape the balls, scrape the balls. See way too many ones, I'm about to throw some honeys. And that whole life that you run from, baby girl.
This blue boulder was definitely my favorite boulder of the qualifier round. Even though I didn't get to send it, I got super close at the end. The start was super physical and just like it was very hard to pull on, and it had a really cool corridor move at the end. I think what made these boulders so difficult this year is that normally a boulder will have like one crux. However, these boulders, like every move was just equally as hard, and it was just like giving 100% every single go.
You gotta know, fuck around, find your spot. I get you lit, church, watch me slip inside.
This purple boulder was just another super physical climb. It had some very shoulder intensive moves, and at this point my forearms were getting pretty tired, and I was already feeling the pressure because I only had one climb at this point.
As we dance by the moonlight, can't you see you're my delight? Lady, I just feel like I won't get you out of my mind. I feel love for the first time, and I know that it's true. I can tell by the look in your eyes.
After not sending the purple climb, I went to try some of the lower graded climbs just to get some climbs in. However, these boulders were also just extremely cooked. This boulder felt like V12, and I think it was like only in the 800s range, and it went all the way up to like the 1000s, so it's kind of crazy.
Hear me tonight, 'cause my feeling is just so right. As we dance by the moonlight, can't you see you're my delight? Lady, I just feel like I won't get you out of my mind. I feel love for the first time, and I know that it's true. I can tell by the look in your eyes.
This orange climb was another one of my favorite boulders of the round, and I thought if I got this move out to this right sloper that I'd be able to complete the climb. However, after sticking that move, I shortly realized that the end of the boulder was just as hard as the start.
Hear me tonight, 'cause my feeling is just so right. As we dance by the moonlight.
In competitions with this style of format, my goal for most of these comps is to do the top 5 hardest boulders as fast as I can, and for the most part, I'm able to do that pretty quickly. However, this comp, I had to switch my strategy up and start trying some of the easier graded climbs, which were also very hard.
That is true, I can tell by the look in your eye. Give me tonight, 'cause my feeling is just so right. Lately, I just feel like I feel love for the first time. Lady, hear me tonight. Can't you see? You're my delight.
With around an hour and a half left in the comp, I was pretty exhausted with only one climb on my scorecard, and I would need 5 to make finals, so I decided to get on some even easier boulders just to try to get some sense. At this point, I was pretty fatigued, and these easier graded boulders still felt extremely difficult, and I was using quite a bit of effort and skin to get up the wall. This white boulder was, I think, the 3rd boulder that I was able to send during this comp, and it had this really cool finish where you could kind of sit on this top macro here. And if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing. So this black boulder was the last boulder that I was able to send during this qualification round. It was a paddle dyno, and I think it was rated like 800 points out of 1,000 points. So it was on the easier side of the boulders. However, I was pretty tired at this point, and my skin was pretty bad, so I was a little worried that my skin would not be able to hold in the finals.
Are you in finals? Slope?
Yeah.
Slopes in finals?
Yeah, I think so.
Unfortunately, I stopped climbing. Because,
Are you serious right now, bro?
bad. And it's, yeah.
Alright, moving on to the finals round. I expected the boulders to be quite a bit easier than the qualifier boulders, just because of how overcooked they were. However, they decided to keep going with that difficulty level even through into the finals. This first boulder was the least physical boulder of the qualifier round. It was this really tricky slab, and you just had to put your feet in the perfect spot if you didn't want them to slip off. One thing I think that made it a bit harder was the lighting. It made it really hard to see like where you were on the volumes, and I also didn't have my dragos, which helped me a lot on volume slab, and I'd be curious to see how much better I could have done on this climb if I had my dragos, but sometimes you forget things and you just gotta deal with it, and I did my best on this boulder.
Baby, I like your style, so let's get it on. 'Cause when we touch, I can't get enough. I'm falling for you. Honey, would you like to make love tonight?
Moving on to the second boulder of the round, I was a little bit frustrated not to have zoned on the first climb. However, I also realized that none of my competitors zoned on that boulder or had zoned on the second boulder yet. So I was confident that I'd be able to get this move.
I'm finna stand tall in it, I'm all in it. You be on my back like a cardigan. Call her again, I'm in love with your friend. We be doing dirt, you hide the evidence. It's evident that you ready to ride. Hop up in my Jeep and put your pride to the side. Go against the gang, you must be ready to hide. Swinging on the corner, bang my tail till it pops.
And lastly, moving on to this last boulder of the round, I knew that some of my competitors had zoned on this boulder and that I probably would need the zone to win. But it turns out that I had low enough zones on the second boulder that I really did not have to do anything on this climb. But I still really wanted to top it just to do something this comp.
But you can hit my phone if you need some help. Don't stick around, you should save yourself. But you can hit my phone if you need some help. I'm stand tall in it, I'm all in it. You be on my back like a cardigan. Call her again, I'm in love with your friend. We be doing dirt, you hide the evidence. It's evident that you ready to ride. Hop up in my Jeep and put your pride to the side. Go against the gang, you must be ready to hide. Swinging on the corner, bang my tail till it pops. I thought I was a goner, pledge to your honor. Burn marijuana, the diamond is on her. Hotter than the sauna, I made her ass a lot.
After singing the first move of the boulder, I really did not want to fall because I would have to do that move again. So I was taking my time and wasting a lot of time on the clock, which would later lead me to timeout.
Stick around, you should save yourself. You can hit my phone if you need some help. I'm finna stand tall. You be on my back like a cardigan. We be doing dirt, you hide the evidence. You be on my back like a cardigan. We be doing dirt, you hide the evidence.
It turned out that I was looking at the transition time on the clock and actually did not top this boulder. However, I still had enough points to win the competition and get the win back to back.